Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a Rune and Tarot divination for the 2nd of December, 2021. Well, here we are, new month, last month of the year. It's amazing all the things that are happening right now. Roe v. Wade is on its last legs, possibly, and at least in some form, maybe. I don't know. Um, it's the last vestiges, in my opinion, of patriarchy making its final push toward control. It's losing control. We're aware now, most of us. It's a smaller number of people that are, but they have a lot of power, and it's sort of a mixture. It's kind of a triumvirate maybe between certain types of religion and a corporation structure, corporate structure, and then also possibly fascism. So the three together have come together to be the ultimate expression in patriarchy, and women once again will be oppressed, and it's a mess. But I think that at some point here we're going to deal with it and get past it. But I don't know how long that's going to take at this point. This is it's all based on deception. There's no inner truth about any of it, and it's just interesting to watch, isn't it? From the esoteric influences today, we have a 2 numerology with the second day of December. We have a 2, and so we're looking at balance. It's interesting because on Monday we had the 11 energy, which can be reduced to 2, but we don't because 11 is a master number. So there's some alignment there. A higher form of it higher vibration of it with the 11 on Monday, and a lower vibration of it with the 2. In a sense, it doesn't have to be, but in a sense, if you compare them together, more personality oriented versus more spirit oriented, I guess you could say. Hagalaz and Karser were the runes from the esoteric influences today. For today, Hagalaz, of course, is a Norn rune, also known as the Witch rune. It's the Norn rune of the past. It helps you to understand where you've been and what you need to do to restructure your perceptions to create something different. So it's destruction within a fixed framework. I mean, just think witchcraft. That's what that does. Witchcraft seeks to influence an outcome in some way, energetically, but influence it in some way. Without destroying everything else around you. It's just a method of influence. Karser suggests, and we'll have it 3 times this week. It's on 3 different days this week, where Karser is about self-restriction and essentially the self-imprisonment of perception. So again, using Hagalaz to break through that, to foster something else instead of where you are right now. The sun is in Sagittarius, and right now the moon is in Scorpio. But with Karser still influencing for 1 more day, you may need to invoke the rune Hagalaz to provide additional inner strength in restructuring your perceptions. It should be clear that in order to regain a more balanced perspective, the choice to remain stuck in old paradigms needs to shift or realign with a higher level of awareness. If external forces are upsetting your inner balance today, it can impact your ability to stay focused. If it's your own lack of impulse control that's happening, then take a step back to understand the greater picture, and it may be that just some self-discipline is needed. Because normally you tend to benefit, it's you who benefits from a concentrated and creative focus when others are easily distracted by the noise around them. Your calm demeanor prevents you from acting prematurely from a one-track or dogmatic mindset that frequently doesn't yield results. And again, I think that this reflects what is going on, at least in our country. I can't speak for the rest of the world, but we're seeing this dichotomy, this duality play out right now, where it's ego versus spirit, basically. And spirit is going to win out. It's just a matter of time. But how that progresses really is up to us. So that's from the esoteric influences for today. 2 more days of it, so if you want to check that out on the blog, it's there. You'll have to scroll down to see it, but the web address, of course, is in the show more section of the video. So just check that out. If you don't remember, I'm steppingaside.com. It's there. You can so you don't have to remember it. Just go grab it there and go to the website and take a look at that. Now, over and above what we had in that for this reading, again, we have Degas. 23rd rune of the Elder Futhark, Othala, is the 24th. There's been a kind of a back and forth about whether or not Degas should be, the last rune, given its idea, because here we have the energy at its saturation point becomes its opposite. So you could think of this as moving from one lifetime to another. So I think that's why there was that discussion, and maybe it continues to this day. I worked it out both ways, and I've left it alone. I've left this as the 23rd rune. Because as the 23rd, it has a 5 numerology, and that's change and transition. With Othala representing, the Akashic record of our lives, really, in form. It's the greater awareness. It's the end point and the beginning point, the full understanding of all of that. So again, I mean, it just depends on your perspective as to where you put it. But basically, you're looking at Gebo, the X in the middle, which is balanced energy exchange. But theoretically, Degas means new day or transition from one period to another, one phase to another, letting go of perceptions and creating new ones, which again aligns well with the esoteric influences runes of Hagalaz and Karser today. Let's see what our geomancy rune is, though, for today, for the reading itself. Well, we have a portion of Degas here. We have Caput, or rather Kata, not Caput, Kata Draconis. Let me see if I can find it here. Well, that's Caput. Let's get the Kata. Here's Kata. Again, they're complements of one another. Kata represents the south node of the moon influence, so you're talking about the past or karma or just things coming to an end, and so it's the left side of Degas, if you will. So again, how we see that, is going to maybe be a little more defined by the cards today, but clearly there's a shift in perception, or something is coming, or one phase is coming to an end and a new one is beginning. With an emphasis, that would be the higher self. That'd be the as above section, part of the as above, so below. With realistically, Kata Draconis representing the ego side of self. So we need to transition the ego into spirit, basically, have a different awareness that is a little more compassionate and loving and not all about control of people. In a way that doesn't make any sense. It's one thing to have a mask mandate or a mandate to be vaccinated during a pandemic. You could argue that that's one measure of control. Some people will say that that's not needed. In my opinion, it is, but that's just so we survive, to live another day, basically. So, my husband and I, we still wear 2 masks when we go to the grocery store. Anyway, anytime we're out and about, we have 2 masks on, and we were able, I thought we were going to try to go today to do our booster, but turns out I read something that said the fairgrounds was holding the clinics as well. That's where we went to get our first 2 vaccinations. So this one, though, was drive-through. We stayed in our car, and we got that done on Monday. So, and we're fine. We did have some achiness, and so we did have a little bit of a reaction to it. Didn't feel real well, and it took a couple of days to get back to feeling good. Little bit of like Tylenol or ibuprofen or whatever can help get you through the aches and pains, or herbally, you could maybe do some like a combination hops and valerian root tinctures together, or something like that in some tea. And that can also help with the pain and relaxing you and all of that. If you have a headache, you could add skullcap to that, and a few drops of each in a cup of tea, and that can also help. But mostly, we were doing well by the next. I mean, we had it around 3:45 in the afternoon, and so, by probably the next day was the worst of it, and then by the following day, though, by yesterday, we were basically doing fine. My husband was out working, cleaning up a garden space, and I was doing things, and so, But again, it's how you see your role in something like this. And I think that, you can stand, if you look at the center of Degas, it's like you're standing on the precipice of new beginnings, of new awareness, in a sense, letting go of what was to embrace what's coming. And again, where that is it based on ego, or is it based on spirit awareness? Where is the vibrational level for you? Is it higher or is it lower? And so my suggestion is to think about that, and think about the impact of having your vibration in one place or another, and see what feels the best to you. So let's take our first three, well, maybe we'll just do 3 cards. We'll take those first and see what we have. Well, we have one major card, the Hierophant. We have the 3 of Swords. We have also the 4 of Pentacles, which I find to be a hilarious card. I really do. I think that it shows, I'll show you here, it shows the king with his back to the throne, and here you see this line of demarcation. He's really separate from the kingdom, isn't he? And he's miserly. He's got 2 feet, one on each pentacle, and here you have him holding fast to one, and then he's displaying one on top of his crown. So he's displaying his wealth, and he's hanging on to it. He's not sharing it with the kingdom behind him. He's not letting it benefit anyone, basically. I mean, it really talks about how corporate structure these days, it's all about getting richer and not being able to share that with others. Although I just saw, what was it, Capital One has done away with its overdraft fees. It's not going to have those anymore. So I don't know, maybe they're awakening. But anyway, the 4 is about foundation. It's about the material side of self, and basically you're hanging on to that. I mean, you could even think about it from the standpoint of hanging on to ego versus letting go, right? And releasing it all to spirit. Here you have the 3 of Swords, where you see a heart. You see rain falling from some darker clouds. They're not pure white, so they're not too dark, but you have a darkened background. And you see the 2 swords behind the other. So this is about betrayal, whether 2 people are betraying you or what have you. And here's the other thing. Let me relate this to that. Is your focus so strong that you can't see what's happening around you? And perhaps there's something that's going on that you need to take another look at. Swords is the air element, and so you're looking at all the mental faculties: justice, fairness, communication, interaction, balance, all of that. But are you so focused on the ego side of things? Are you so focused on material possessions and what you view as what is your due and what's owed to you? It could be the grievance side of things, maybe, that you can't see that you're being betrayed in some way. You get so caught up in your own perception of things, having to do with just you. Because think about this, he's really hanging on to that at the expense of other people that he's in charge of, basically, because it's his kingdom, right? So this is authority that's hanging on to the wealth at the expense of the population, at the expense of the masses. You could think of it as hanging on to one set of perceptions. The same with Roe v. Wade. You've got You don't have to have an abortion, and yet you've got people that simply want it done away with. They can't allow for some other way of seeing things, of some other way of seeing who we are. It is only their ideas that matter. And so let's get rid of this because they're uncomfortable. Problem is, all they have to do is not seek an abortion, right? That's all they have to do. Sometimes abortions are medically necessary, and this is between a woman and her doctor and no one else. It's the life of the woman. It's her experience. What is it the new Supreme Court Justice lady said? Oh, well, all you have to do is just take the baby to a safe haven place, to a police station or a fire station, and give it up, and then you can go right on back to your life. She's had a bunch of kids. Does she really think that's even possible? It isn't. And so it's like this very narrow perspective is governing something that's going to affect people that don't share that belief structure. And there has to be room for everybody here, right? So if there's no real reason other than perception for why they don't want it, then again, you have to allow for the perceptions of other people to be just as valuable as your own. And I think in a way, Degas might even suggest that as well. We can't have a return, though, to the past, where women died as a result of this. So, and it just seems like they don't care about that. They care about manifesting their own beliefs and having everybody else follow them versus, So my suggestion here on a personal level today, as far as this goes, is to understand that you could be hanging on to something and be so focused on something that you don't see that there's other people behind the scenes trying to upend that, or betray you in some way. And the way out of that is to get out of the ego of the four and get into the divine mercy of the Hierophant. Divine wisdom, mastery, hidden knowledge, a higher level of awareness, if you will. Balance is implied. You see the two columns right here. They're quite ornate, aren't they? They're just really beautiful. You see mind, body, spirit balance with the 3 points here. You see the same with on the monks below, and you see the keys of knowledge. Is it knowledge and tradition? Here, in balance with one another. The 5 alone would suggest change and momentum and protection even. You see the triple aspects of his crown, 1, 2, 3. And again, the crosses, 1, 2, 3. So instead of holding on to things so tightly that you can't allow for anything else to enter in, including your own awareness, you may be basically duped into thinking that your way is the only way and your needs are the only needs. And in the background, you have people trying to betray you and are the ones that are actually trying. In other words, you can look at this as betrayal, but you can also look at these two as the behind the scenes action that are getting you to behave the way they want. All right. And I've said this before, that I think what's happening in the world right now is designed by the powers that be that want to stay the powers that be. And so they're doing whatever they have to do to remain in power, just like the king is doing everything to hang on to his wealth, to hang on to his fortune at the expense of other people. Again, though, it could be also the perceptions, the choices that we make, the ideology that we express that is done at the expense of other people. And if that in fact affects society, It may not just be affecting you personally, but it may be affecting society in a way. So we can look at this in both ways, both as an individual and what's happening collectively in our world around us right now. So again, on a very personal level, you could be so focused on your own perceptions, your own issues, your own life, that you don't see what's happening behind the scenes. And what's happening behind the scenes could be controlling what you're doing, could be trying to upend what you're doing. And if it's trying to upend something that is restrictive, well, maybe that's a good thing, but it just depends on what that is. So just be aware that you're so focused, maybe you don't see what's happening behind you. So that would be the message I would say for today. And to let go of that, with the Degas energy, and allow for a new awareness to unfold. If this signals that you're being manipulated by others to do their own bidding, then you need to understand that they're betraying you in the process. So there's a couple of ways to look at that individually, I think, today. And again, the answer is to get out away from the ego and to find higher self-awareness to give you that balance that you need between ego and spirit. And if ego is way too strong in you, then it could be that you're too restrictive in your perceptions and you're not able to see and understand the viewpoints of other people. So that would be, I guess, how I would interpret this today. So you can see this from both, manifested outward, in our country right now, particularly with Roe v. Wade, and then in just your individual lives, where, maybe you're just so focused you can't see what's coming. And you can't see that people are trying to harm you or try to stop you from what you're doing, or they're betraying you in some way. I just look at this, I think, as, hanging on to what you have from an ideological standpoint. I think that that's what this really is about, and staying stuck in perception and to be unable to see how you're being manipulated by others to do so. And the only way to get out from under that is to step back and see this from the standpoint of spirit, so that you can understand that this is something that's playing out, and you can either succumb to it or you can step away from it and understand the bigger picture of it. So anyway, I guess that's it for today. That's it for the week, and we'll get together again on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. I'm probably going to, if you get the newsletter, I'm going to put the esoteric and magical influences in that. I'm going to publish that on Friday instead of Saturday, because I'm going to be busy on Saturday, so I'm not going to have time to even do that. So I'm going to do it ahead of time. But the esoteric influences will go out on the blog still on Sunday. So check those out if you don't get the newsletter. If you want to sign up for the newsletter, it's on the left side panel of the blog. Just kind of scroll down a little bit. You'll see it. Sign up for newsletter here. Put your email in. It goes to my newsletter software. It gathers them up, and then I just hit send, and it goes out to anybody on that list. And it's just so you can get it in your inbox a little early. Sometimes I'll put stuff from the Herbal Academy in there. Right now they've got a sale on all their courses, and so you'll see that there. That's the holiday sale. So you'll sometimes see stuff like that. Sometimes I write other little posts and put that in there. There's a calendar that's a pagan oriented calendar in there. I have also the Sabbats that are listed there, and all of that. So it's just kind of informational. And if you don't want to have to go to the blog and look at the esoteric influences, you can just pull it up on your email. So you can always you'll have it on your phone and all of that if you want to check it during the day. But anyway, there's that. And let's see, the forecast goes up on the blog 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. That's the big one. And if you want to follow me over on Patreon, there's I was doing it weekly, but now I'm doing it daily, and I'm putting a little bit more into it than what I was. It's the magical correspondences for the day for work and magic. And recommendations for what you might do on that particular day, given all of the different energies that we have working. So check that out if you want to. Follow me over there. And I guess that's it. Have a good weekend. This first weekend in December. I can't believe it. You know, we're in Central Oregon, and we're like maybe around 3,000 feet above sea level. It was 72 degrees here yesterday. I have things still growing outside that should not be at this point. They should have gone dormant by now. I have some petunias on the deck that are still growing. And I don't understand this. I don't understand why on December 1st we were 72 degrees. Today we're going to be in the high 50s, but that was just interesting, you know. I don't know. Things are off right now. So anyhow, thanks for watching, you guys. You guys have a good weekend, and we'll talk again Monday. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.